Caster.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, people.
Is that on your end?
Still nothing.
Still nothing. Uh-oh. Should be
There
good.
it goes.
Okay. All right. We're all right?
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay. Oh boy. So I wonder how far we got into with this Barbie discussion. Well, so let's keep her rolling here. For those of you who didn't listen to the last 5 minutes of this monologue here, let's just repeat her back here. So Shakira had some words. She pretty much had her review on Barbie. So let's give her words here. My sons absolutely hated it. They felt that it was emasculating, and I agree. To a certain extent, I'm raising 2 boys. I want them to feel powerful too, while respecting women. I like pop culture when it attempts to empower women without robbing men of their possibility to be men. Also, to protect and provide. I believe in giving women all the tools and the trust that we can do it all without losing our essence, without losing our femininity. I think that men have a purpose in society and women have another purpose as well. We complement each other, and that complement should not be lost. I agree. I don't think this is really that controversial of a topic. We can have our cake and eat it too. We can celebrate all that is great about being a woman, being a girl, and all unique life aspects that go with that. At the same time, not having to put men down or put women down in that same vein. It's okay. It's okay to be a girly girl. It's okay to be a tomboy. It's okay to be, all sorts of varying degrees of woman you want. And I think that's what Barbie, the end of the day, the movie, that message it's trying to bring. I don't think that movie was necessarily trying to put men down in like a kind of a mean way. Just remember, there's a lot of, who do they have as the supporting character? Ryan Gosling. Actually, probably a better, probably more funny than he is attractive, which is saying quite a bit. So when you have him at that role, I'm not buying some of those hardcore right wingers that go through and say, hey, oh, this is just it. Fuck men, fuck them all. This is, life would be better if women was in charge. I just don't agree with that premise. And I think we lose, we lose a lot of nuance when we start going women great, men bad, or on the opposite, men great, women bad. So, and I think the movie, again, does a pretty decent job at going through all these things. It does take pot shots at men, but what movie really doesn't? There's some goofy things we do. The Mojo Dojo Casa House. That's funny. It makes me smile every time we see it. Yeah. So I don't hate the movie. I don't think it's as great as some people saying. This isn't the third wave feminist. This is just the women's revolution we're going to have here if you see this movie. But that's, that's just kind of how I feel. Doug, what are your thoughts on the movie Barbie?
Well, I actually never saw it.
All right.
Never saw it.
Never saw it. Okay.
Never saw it. I had no interest in seeing it. I don't even go to movie theaters anymore. I believe they're bygone era. You pay for every streaming service, might as well just wait for it to come there for free. So
okay,
I still haven't seen it, even though it's out, because I just have zero interest in it.
So no plan seeing it at all.
Probably not. Well, although maybe I will have to watch it now, but I have not heard good things from the people that have watched it.
All right, what have the people? What have you heard from the people?
Just that they thought it was kind of stupid and stuff. Although I did meet one woman who loved it at jury duty. This like older, we're 30s now, and so like older than us, wearing like a Barbie zip up and Barbie like tights and Barbie Uggs and just all Barbie stuff. And then she talked about Barbie when the like lawyers were asking us questions and stuff, and it was just like really absurd. Like, I get it. Maybe Barbie was a great movie. It brought in $1 billion, but I don't know if it was that great to be that obsessed over too. So,
well, to bring in $1 billion, it can't just be just women watching it. I just don't think there's that. You don't make $1 billion by one.
Do you think guys though just went to go see it, or do you think they went because they were going with their girlfriends or wives or someone?
I definitely think there's probably some guys that,
Or they were doing the the Barbieheimer double feature.
I don't think too many people actually did that.
I would have
I think
done
some
it.
people saw one, saw the other, maybe not the same. Obviously not in a head back to back situation, but definitely probably saw 1 week, wait a couple weeks, saw the next one, saw a matinee, something like that. But I definitely think the majority of the men that did see it were watching it with a group, with someone else. Maybe not necessarily with a woman, could be another guy, could be grandma, mom, doesn't matter. Or I think very few probably watched it by themselves. I'm sure there's some. It was a popular blockbuster movie. There's reasons to go see it.
$1 billion is a lot of money.
$1 billion is a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a major film. And I think I think they knew it was going to be pretty huge, but it wasn't. I think they were caught off guard by just how big it got. The marketing campaign definitely did signify they knew this was going to be pretty big, but $1 billion I think was over.
Well, they had a star cast though too.
It did.
That always helps.
Yeah, it did. So, well, let's move on here to the next topic. We have.
Well, I think Ryan.
Oh my God, we didn't even do the
Hey,
wrapping thoughts. What the hell?
Hey guys.
You see them all back.
I saw it. I enjoyed it. There was some, there was a lot of female empowerment in the movie, and some guy masculine, not exactly, I wouldn't call it shaming, but not exactly promoting men, which I wouldn't really expect in Barbie movie, but they weren't too far off from like guy mentality, where it's like, yeah, bro, like let's go, let's get it, and stuff like that. The Mojo Casa and all the good stuff. I enjoyed the movie. I don't know.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny parts. I agree. Wasn't I just don't think it was just shitting on men like some of these weirdos on Twitter seem to think. And I think this goes back to the other thing too, because I think there is something to be said of a female. I'd say Shakira is a fairly popular celebrity still at this point. She did do a Super Bowl like 2 years ago, so
I think she's pretty popular still.
So for like a female celebrity come out against Barbie, we don't see that too much. Especially not one that's she's not voting for Trump. We'll put it that way. And going against Barbie, which seems to be against the cultural grain, especially in Hollywood. So I'm sure all 15 people on Twitter that harassed her were really upset about it. But I think this does speak to a larger degree that you can go against the opinion. And I think as long as you're not just going, well, Barbie sucks because anti-men, that's dumb. That's a reductive way of thinking. If you go, she had a beautifully written, statement like, well, I just don't think this is what was great for my boys, for them to be X, Y, and Z, and to kind of celebrate the differences in gender versus assuming we're all the same. I think we should all be the same as far as rights and, how exactly we're treated amongst everything. But as far as our unique biological differences, that is, that is something to be celebrated as, because that's, why be the same when you can be just a little bit different here. I think that'd be my wrapping thoughts on this whole thing. Doug, do you have anything else you want to say?
I do not. Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe I'll have to watch Barbie and come back next time we do a show.
I think you should. Ryan, what are your wrapping thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Not every movie should be the same. It shouldn't be all monochromal and everything. So, yeah, go women.
I think it's true. So leading into our next topic, someone who is also pro women, but maybe in a bit of a different way, J.K. Rowling. She's definitely not met a trans person she doesn't have an opinion on, and she got herself in a little bit of hot water here with some recent tweets. This is nothing new for J.K. Rowling. She has been, if you look at her Twitter feed, you'd think she was an anti-trans advocate and not the author of one of the most popular books of all time, or at least the recent 2000s. So J.K. Rowling, what exactly did she do? So J.K. Rowling got herself in a little hot water here with Scottish law. So for those of you watching at home that are probably in the United States. I think most reviewers, in fact, not all our reviewers in the United States. Scotland had a new kind of version of kind of a hate speech law. So in Scottish law, they in about I think it was like 2021, 2022, right around there, they introduced a new law where if you are causing a ruckus with your speech, and that's intentionally vague for a couple of reasons we'll get in here later, against people against certain age, a disability, or sexual orientation, you can face up to 7 years in Scottish prison. So J.K. Rowling, the law she kind of broke. She threw out some. She had some disagreements with some protesters that were protesting a couple trans people that went to jail. One was a rapist, and then another one was a kidnapper within the past year. So what? So what was the major thing she did? You know, she probably said something heinous, said something terrible. She just kind of mocked them a little bit and said their names and faces and posted them on the internet of the rapist and the kidnapper, and then a couple of the protesters that were on that. So this is nothing new for J.K. Rowling, but what makes this one a little bit interesting is she did this in Scotland. She was vacationing or doing, I don't know, whatever in Scotland. So by that definition of the law, she can be, she can be prosecuted for up to 7 years. However, no one in Scotland actually convicted her of any wrongdoing. This was all J.K. Rowling's smoke and mirrors. So she threw out a tweet, basically kind of egging on the Scottish police. Hey, arrest me because I did this. I technically broke the law based on this. I don't think J.K. Rowling is going to be arrested, nor will she face jail time. This isn't necessarily anything new for her. And the people that support her are going to support her. People that hate her are just going to continue to hate her. She's she just cannot stop talking about trans people. And I get it can be a little bit annoying in this end, but I think what she's trying to do here is just egg on this conversation of free speech and continuing to say, hey, United Kingdom isn't free. They don't have free speech. Aren't I a victim? So when she's doing this, she's just taking, she's just putting a spotlight on it. She's allowing people, her supporters, just come through and bully people essentially into accepting that Scotland isn't a free speech haven. I don't know. I'm going to pass this on to you here, Doug. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, my first thought here is, does it really use the word ruckus in the law?
Well, this was taken from the BBC article that I put this on, but definitely if you're the spirit of the law it's a hate speech law.
Yeah, I can get the spirit, but it's like, man, to use the word ruckus in a law would just, I don't know. I think that would be hilarious because how do you define a ruckus?
And I think it's intentionally vague for these types of purposes. So this isn't the first time we've seen someone with dramatic opinions cause kind of violence and hate speech. I know there's a couple. I know one in particular, the Bernie Sanders shooter, shot a bunch of Congress people playing basketball in Washington, D.C. That guy was pure Bernie Sanders all the way, and did that because Republican Congress people did not want universal health care. So he took vigilantism into his own hands. That might be the tornado now. But that's not Bernie Sanders' fault that the guy went over and shot a bunch of people. It's not his fault. He didn't tell Bernie Sanders, hey, Bernie Sanders didn't tell him, hey, go shoot these people. Didn't do that. But with these styles of law in Scotland and the United Kingdom, that's what they want to draw these conclusions to. They want to repress hate speech, but they're not. I don't think they don't really want to define it in black and white terms, because I think hate speech can evolve over time.
I get not wanting to define it, but I really just hope ruckus isn't a part of the actual law. But I don't know, dude. I feel like we've been hearing about her forever now. Remember people were boycotting that the the Wizarding World game.
Yeah, the Harry Potter
But
game.
then I've heard it's a great game. I've heard from people that they love it. So
I've personally not played it, but I agree. I've heard good things about it as well. And it would be one thing. I'm starting to have less and less sympathy for J.K. Rowling because she is her own worst enemy in this whole.
she keeps shooting herself in the foot.
Exactly. This isn't one or two tweets that she's thrown out there or like secretly throwing donations to help support women or, whatever cause she thinks she is. She is relentless. Go look at her timeline. It is nonstop, just trans this, trans that. She's pretty much the alternate account of libs of TikTok. That's all she's doing. So at this point, any hate she's getting at this, you're putting it onto yourself. She must love the attention.
She's lucky that they even finished making the Fantastic Beast movies, because like some people weren't happy or were going to boycott the third one because that was around, or maybe it was even the second one, but like those movies were, the last couple were out around the time of her starting all that crap, and like also Johnny Depp. Was it Johnny Depp?
It was Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp got replaced in that. So it's like some people were like, oh, you don't even do it. And there's still at least that other book, was a Cursed Child that came out,
It's a play. That started off as a play, and then eventually it became like kind of like a.
I remember like that book came out after all the movies and all that too. So, but like if she made more Harry Potter, they'd probably be willing to still create some more stuff. But like if she keeps tainting herself, no one's gonna touch her.
Yeah, and she does have one of the weird things with such a big I think she's one of the very few people in the world that has direct authority. I believe she owns all the rights to Harry Potter. So nothing gets made without her say. So I think like that's why they made the Fantastic Beasts movie, because there was a stipulation within the contract that Warner Brothers can't just make movies about Harry Potter unless J.K. Rowling wrote about Harry Potter. So she wrote like a 5-page book about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. And then that's how they made that movie. That's why they did that. So she's like, oh, we'll take this. We're going to make it.
I liked it, though. I liked those movies.
Oof.
I liked the first one at least. And then the last one was just okay.
I protested all through. Well, I guess the second and the third movie because they're awful. I thought they were.
Wait, you didn't like the gay Dumbledore?
I didn't even mind that. I don't care. I know I didn't like Jude Law playing Dumbledore. That wasn't.
I don't know. I thought he did pretty good.
Yeah, Colin Farrell. I thought he did pretty good at in that first movie, but it just was. Oh Jesus, it was bad. Those were awful. But I do like the theme parks though. They really nailed it with the theme parks.
Yeah,
those were great.
Hogwarts Land at Universal.
Oh,
talking about that? Oh yeah,
Jesus.
And you ride the train to the different parts of the park. I love it.
Yep, it just they really capture the
essence the butterbeer.
Yeah, but I was about to say the butterbeer.
The butterbeer is big.
Butterbeer's good shit. If that was just like available, I'd probably have diabetes by now.
Yeah,
that stuff's so good.
Do you like the hot or the cold butterbeer?
I go with the cold. I don't go with the frozen. I just go with the regular syrupy.
I mean, I haven't been in years, but they had a hot one and a cold one, like not frozen, but it was like the same thing. Just one was heated up and one was cold.
Because I always imagine it in the books when they describe it as like a warm, savory beer. But if you ever had warm beer, it's not great.
No,
that's not great at all.
But the butterbeer warm was not bad.
Okay,
yeah, it was not bad.
All right. I agree. You got any thoughts here, Brian?
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of J.K. Rowling in general. I don't know. I thought the first book, because I was probably the only one I actually looked at, was decent, and then the rides are great. Movies I could live without them, and that's a pretty hot take.
That is a pretty hot take.
So yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on her or her thoughts.
Those movies are wildly.
That is a wild hot take.
That is a wild hot. That might be a hotter take than Doug not seeing Barbie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because who hasn't seen the Harry Potter movies?
Well, you said he's seen them.
Seen them.
You've seen them.
You didn't like them.
They could disappear tomorrow, and he wouldn't be too upset.
Yeah.
We got any comments here on? We got any J.K. Rowling defenders?
Harry Potter fans.
Or Harry Potter fans, basically one and the same.
Ricky said that this is government overreach, but That's why I love America.
America.
I mean, that also that puts into perspective why we have, why the Bill of Rights are written in the order of the most importance. So being able to speak out and being able to speak is widely important. And I think there is a certain point where your speech does become hate, and you need to be responsible for your speech has consequences, and you don't necessarily need to be platformed. But in this type of circumstance, her hate speech, quote unquote, is calling women men or men women.
Well, like she also has like a following. So if I tweeted out something or posted something terrible, it's not reaching many people. Let's be honest. I don't have many people following my crap because I barely also post anything. She posts something. Well, a lot of people still follow her or look for her or, check her. And so it's like, maybe that is a ruckus.
Yeah, and I don't think it takes someone with a lot of imagination to, and usually these are mentally ill individuals that go into like parasocial relationships with celebrities or influencers, and we can say, hey, J.K. Rowling, she's trying to protect women. Let me go punch a trans person. I can see how someone eventually comes to that conclusion, and there is some danger in that, but you can't be responsible for everybody's actions.
Well, that's the same. Okay, what is it? To Kill a Mockingbird. Was it To Kill a Mockingbird made that guy shoot John Lennon?
Yeah, I think that was it.
Because then some book also made someone shoot Reagan too, right?
But
anyways, I know the John Lennon one. It's like, was the guy who wrote that book or whoever, published the publisher of those books or whoever sold that guy that book, can you really be responsible for you write something and some crazy dude takes it to the extreme?
Yeah, like if we remember the punch a Nazi movement back in, what was it, 2016?
Well, I think everyone can agree punching a Nazi is a good thing.
Yeah,
Captain America did plenty of
it. I'm not anti-punching Nazis, but definitely there is.
It was Catcher in the Rye. That's
Catcher in the Rye.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay.
So, but there is. I mean, that's eliciting that speech is eliciting hate, like hate. That's bad. Like saying, hey, kill all the whatever. Obviously, that's
the
hate
phonies.
Speech. Yeah, and punch whatever whatever club or ideology you have. Also, it's also hate. In no way, shape, or form do I want to defend the fascist Nazis, but there is that let's call a spade here. That's you're eliciting violence. It's violence against people that most people agree, not great. But at the same time, it's all depends on who won the war at that point. Because it's history is written by the victors, and if you're the victors, you get to decide, hey, these were actually the bad guys, and that's not to take it to Israel Palestine for too long, but this is what we're seeing here in social media. There isn't one side that's all good or all evil. We're starting to when this whole thing started. So I go, well, Israelis, we liked them. They had Western values. They were great. They're wonderful. They were just trying to leave everybody alone. And then they got attacked. We're starting to see now with, the truth is that wasn't the case. They weren't all good. They weren't all, they were doing their own nefarious things to provoke some of it. Now, did what they did elicit the action that went to October 7th?
It's the chicken and the egg, man.
Yeah, I think it ultimately will come into that situation where and whoever wins this genocide, Alex Jones called this a genocide, so it's pretty much a genocide at this point. Whoever wins this genocide, they get to write the history books on what happened.
I mean, I don't want to say one's better than the other, but wouldn't Ukraine be more of a genocide because hasn't even more people been killed there than in Israel Palestine?
Well,
I guess because small nation versus a big whatever.
Well, I think the difference between a war and a genocide is it's military against military. Are the Russians probably targeting some civilians in Ukraine? Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Is that their main goal? No, they're trying to kill the Ukrainian military. That's where I see it as a war, not necessarily a genocide. Genocide's going, I don't want any of these people here. I want them all gone so I can take it. So I can essentially take the land over. Where the Russians going, hey, we want to just get rid of the military force so that we can have, the Ukrainians elect us as the democracy of the land. There's a little bit of A and a little bit of B. I don't think any war is purely 100% military on military, but no war. Every war has a little bit of genocide going on. It's just to the degree of what it is.
I like how we got from JK to Israel Palestine.
It's eventually
that was a hell of a circle.
It just went right through there. But let me give my wrapping thoughts here on
Let's hear it, homie.
JK Rowling. I don't have the sympathy for her. She's starting to earn every piece of like negative energy that is coming her way. If she were to just stop on Twitter and do nothing but promote Harry Potter and she's like, oh, hey, I'm here with Harry Potter fans. I'm signing books. I'm writing this new thing.
She'd make so much money.
Yeah. She would just be seen. Right about before Twitter, she was, did anyone have anything negative to say about her other than, well, I don't like how this book's written or this isn't.
Yeah. I feel like some people, once you get the chance to just put your thoughts out there unfiltered, it's just, no going back and that, like now she has this platform to post everything and everyone in the world can see forever. And now,
and she's probably surrounded by a bunch of yes men that just go, oh yeah, you know what? You're right about the trans. They're no good. They're anti-women. I don't know what these people are telling her, but she doesn't get in her normal every day-to-day life. She's not getting pushback. She only gets pushback on Twitter. And I'm assuming she just thinks this is a big playground where these thoughts and opinions don't matter and her actions have no consequences. Her actions have consequences. And whether she wants to face them or not, should the consequences be upheld by the law? Probably not. I don't think that's great.
I mean, if they choose to enforce a law that might put the word ruckus in it, I'm sorry, I would laugh so hard.
You're pro ruckus?
Well, if it says J.K. Rowling arrested for causing a ruckus, I will laugh so hard. That would be hilarious. Like the poor court person that's having to arrest her and docket, just I couldn't imagine having to use the word ruckus like that often, like the guy has to write it and then, the papers are like, oh my God. And then the news people would be like, J.K. Rowling arrested for causing a ruckus. I will laugh.
Yeah. Judge saying that you got arrested for ruckus.
Ruckus.
You caused a ruckus.
Causing some bad things here. But this is part of the beauty of our First Amendment. But again, your speech doesn't come without consequences. You need to have that. And I think consequences are good for your speech. So you're just like what she's doing, just unfiltered all the time. She's just ruining herself. Twitter's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to her.
If she wrote anything popular, I feel like people would want to see more of the Wizarding World. But I think there's so many haters out here against her now that I don't think we're going to be getting any more of the Wizarding World.
No, I don't think so.
I think we're lucky we still have an amusement park.
I agree. I'm surprised we haven't just been just haven't boycotted that, which it would actually probably be nice and the parks would be a little less crowded.
Oh my God, right? That Harry Potter world is usually just so busy.
It is. It's packed. Like
I get my one butter beer and I'm done because it's like I don't want to wait in the line again.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Brian, do you have any wrapping thoughts?
I don't have any more hot takes on JK. But the only thing to consider with the Ukraine war is the men were forced to stay there, where that were 18 to 50 or some ridiculously high number that I don't think men that old should be holding a gun and for the first time and shooting at people. But
technically, I think if there was a war tomorrow, they can raise the conscription age. Right now, I think it's 18 to 26. For the Selective Service Act, that's what it is right now. We could have been drafted up until we're 26, but time of war, they'd probably raise it, to 50 years old because there's jobs other than a foot soldier, but then they can take the healthy young people, put them up front and use the old people to do all the office back end work.
Yeah, but I don't think it's anywhere near a genocide or anything like Israel, Palestine.
No, and I think you bring a good point on that as well. Is like forced, like the draft, like if you're forced to be in it, 'cause they have no choice. If you're a military-aged male in Ukraine, you're fighting in the war.
I mean, hell, I probably would want to though. I mean,
Yeah,
like your country's wrecked. There's no probably actual work for you. You might as well and you've probably seen friends or family killed. It's like, well, might as well try and defend your country. Like if America was invaded, you're telling me you probably would sign up tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, a weird thing about Ukraine as well, there is they have to spend their own money on anything that isn't just given to them by the military. So they get their military issued rifle without any sort of scopes or anything on it. They get their military issued garb, and that's it. They want like extra features, they want another gun, they want a pistol. They gotta buy it themselves, and a lot of them do. So if you really want to support Ukraine, send them your red dot. Someone in Ukraine really would like that, that's wild. And especially with all the money we're giving to them, you think there wouldn't be some of that, but that's a whole other different topic.
That is a whole other topic, I'm sure.
All right. So speaking of, well, probably not war, genocide, anything. That's conspiracy theories. So about through 3 weeks ago, Kate Middleton was probably the most popular person in the world. Where did she go? What happened to her? We haven't heard from her in a while. I think the last time she was in the public eye was a little bit before Christmas. And then all of a sudden, nothing. So there was a couple, we'll call them conspiracy theorists, because I think that's fair, that were wondering, we haven't seen her in a while. All the other royals have been going out and running around, doing interviews, starting TV shows, just parading themselves around. But she, a young woman, not a whole lot going on. Haven't seen her in a little bit. So that's when the rumors started flying. That's when the conspiracy-minded people started asking some of these questions. And then it kind of took on a life on its own. Your mom was talking about it. Your sister, probably your coworker, probably asked, like, I don't know where Kate Middleton's at. She's probably, she might be dead. What's going on? There's a lot of secrets within the royal family. Some we know, probably a lot we don't. Prince Andrew. I'm just going to say that one out loud. I think if you can infer a couple of those things on your own. But with this one, it's a little more unique. Is this a Diane situation where she dead and they just haven't announced it yet? Is she, was she beaten to a pulp? Was she, did she run away? What's going on? The whole world kind of took notice and started asking these questions. And eventually it became too much for the royal crown to ignore. So they sent out haphazard picture. A lot of people started looking into it going, that's a little photoshopped here. Well, that doesn't look right there. What's going on with these fingers, these arms? So even more speculation started to creep. So remember, the royal crown didn't say anything. Kate Middleton didn't say anything. We just sent out a picture and a tweet and says, hey, I'm just having fun with my children. And we notice more and more the story doesn't add up. These people don't just go out of the spotlight for no reason. So what's going on? I think at that point, that's when conspiracy, like the weirdo conspiracy theorists on Reddit and Twitter, and your mom and your dad on Facebook go, whoa, hey, what's going on? What's happening here? Paparazzi started getting involved. So that's when you started seeing some pictures here, there. Like, is that her? That nose looks a little off. Ears? I don't know. Turns out Kate Middleton just had a little bit of cancer. Just a little bit of cancer. They had an abdominal surgery. I think it was, I don't know if it was routine, but definitely something that it was going on. It happens with most people, or, they're not, the royal crown isn't immune to it, and found she had some cancer. So then finally she had the big reveal, the big video of her saying that she did in fact have cancer. I don't think, with the articles I read, I don't know if there was a specific cancer that was tied to it, but definitely she did some chemotherapy, and turned out, I think this whole thing became a big nothingness. Wasn't a whole lot of, the case seemed a little open and shut. But again, as the mainstream kind of looked at it and said, all right, we're done. We got all our answers. We got the video. She's obviously not dead. She's not beaten to a pulp. She's still here. We got to respect her wishes and just leave her alone. That's when we come all the way full circle, like the bell curve. The conspiracy theorists start going, wild, just truly wild. The speculation. They didn't believe it. They thought it was a fake video. And they started just running away with even more rumors. Now, personally, I think she just had a little bit of cancer and was in chemotherapy. And the Crown does always like to present themselves in a very proper, it's very much like a celebrity view. They don't want to be seen in anything other than the best light humanly possible. And I don't believe there's been too many. I guess the king now. I think Philip or something like that. King Charles.
He also has cancer.
He does. So it's starting to become a little bit more common here in the family. But I don't think the Queen had anything wrong with
the
her.
Queen. God, she was a tank, man.
She kept chugging along, and was probably the best representation of what the Crown probably should be. And everyone else here behind her.
I don't think anyone hated her.
Nope. I
People
legitimately
have some
don't
strong
think
feelings on Charles.
Yep. Oh,
So
strong feelings of
it's
Charles.
Interesting how that is.
Andrews. What's the redheaded guy?
Harry
Prince
and Meghan.
Harry.
Yeah.
Yep. They're all they got their own issues, but Queen Elizabeth.
But everyone loved Kate Middleton, which is why it was such a big thing, because she was like the most loved royal member.
Yeah. She seemed to just not say anything. It's wild how well you're liked in that type of position. If you just don't say anything, you smile, you wave, kiss some children, hug some children, kiss some babies, and remotely just stay apolitical. Hey, we're here for the great United Kingdom. So do you think, Doug, that she just had cancer, or is there a little bit more going on here?
I mean, I think it's probably just the cancer. I mean, why would you can't? I don't know why you'd lie about having cancer. But like, I think it's funny they sent out that picture that was like, and a lot of people were like, agencies were saying like, this was definitely like photoshopped in some way, like, and they did say, I think, that she was going in for abdominal surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But then no one heard from her afterwards. And so then that's where it was like, oh, what, but like, she released that video recently, like, we want privacy during this hard time. And it's like, all right, I get it. You're having cancer. You want privacy. But then I was brought back to the South Park Harry and Meghan episode where it's like, we want privacy, as they're doing their worldwide privacy tour.
Yep.
It's like, when you're a member of the royal family, you don't get privacy.
Nope.
You don't get privacy. Like you're it's essentially like being the president. You and your family are in the public eye wherever you go.
Yep. And that's the ultimate. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have the power. You can't have the influence. You can't have the money without giving up a little bit on the side, and in which case becomes privacy. So, but I think they did a very good job at keeping her out of the limelight, but definitely the noise became too loud.
Being out of the limelight that long and that well,
Yep.
like they should have done the occasional public slip, like her walking through, like it would have taken just a few little public snaps, to like probably ease people's concern.
Yep.
Instead, they just like literally kept her out of the public view, saying nothing for all that time. It's like, what, you think people aren't going to notice? Like that would be like if the Queen went missing for a week. People would wonder where the hell their Queen is.
Yeah, true.
And that's how people found out she was like not doing well. People were like, where's the Queen? She's not at this event. She's not here. She's not doing this.
Yeah, and I think this goes in the exact opposite way of how the internet usually works. Typically, if you have a controversy and you're a public figure on the internet, just ignore it. Don't say anything. There's too many things going on in the human hive mind, in which you get lost in the shuffle. Eventually, there's the next big story if you just leave it alone. But here, it just became a story unto its own. The saying nothing meant saying everything, and this is where I think most conspiracy theorists are crazy people, and I'm probably one of them. I dabble maybe a bit too much in my little world of conspiracy theories, but there's definitely, I think with any conspiracy is always a little bit of truth, and depending on how much truth there really is, you really have something. Was the election fraudulent? I don't know, but were they hiding the princess? Oh, absolutely. Yep,
absolutely.
Yeah.
They did too good of a job, though.
They did
a couple little slips in the eye, looking out a window, for the paparazzi to take a picture would have probably helped, the people wanted to just make sure she was alive and not walking around. completely out of view, that was a little suspicious.
They should have just put her on a parade. Well, think about it. You're in
The Kate Middleton parade.
Well, there's probably a parade for something going on in England at any given point. She arrives in the parade. She's kind of enclosed. It's maybe a little darker because they don't want a JFK situation on their hands here with the the royal family. So she'll be at it, but she's there. She's waving. People can see with their own eyes. They can videotape. Oh, okay,
so basically, you're saying she should ride around in a Pope mobile.
Oh yeah, that's why they made the Pope mobile, because someone did try to shoot the Pope, and actually someone did try to shoot the Pope mobile.
Yeah, there's a reason why the Pope rides in a bulletproof glass enclosed raised structure. That way he can be driven down the street, everyone can see him, but he's not gonna get shot JFK style.
Yeah. But I think my wrapping thoughts on this one here is that this was, again, the noise was just too loud to ignore for the royal family, and too many. And when the normies start caring about conspiracy theories, that's how you know it's bad. That's how you know this isn't going to go away. When your mom and back home in your hometown is
when people in the U.S. are talking about it too. When the United States is talking about the royal family.
That's how
that's how you know. We
fought
a war to get separated from them, and we're talking about them.
Yeah, It's either really good or really bad when people in the States here are talking a lot about the Royals. Do you have any wrapping thoughts, Doug?
I think we did pretty good on that. You mentioned conspiracy theory, though. It's real quick.
Yeah.
Brian got to go firsthand to a conspiracy theory site, the Denver airport,
Yeah.
The horse statue that killed the guy who made it, and the supposed site of an underground military site.
Yeah.
Brian got to go there firsthand.
Well, Brian, tell us about your
Did you see any conspiracies going on?
See any aliens?
So as soon as I came through TSA, I noticed a lot of construction in a zone that you weren't you have no access to. It's like, I don't know, you go in and it's right there. It's oh, okay, they're really working on this area, but how would they even open that area? It doesn't have access. I don't know. It
underground
gave me
facility.
some weird inspiration to message Doug about conspiracy theories in Denver airport.
I watched some on Hulu ones that talked about the Denver airport, and so I mean there are some interesting conspiracies about that place.
I've personally never been to the Denver airport, but I always feel that one was 20 years ago. It was kind of fun to poke. Oh, this is kind of a weird airport. What's going on here? Now I think they're leaning into it way too hard on that.
I think they embrace it.
I think
it brings people in,
and it just kind of ruins it a little bit. So you get the real weirdos, the ones that would shoot up the pizza spot, are not going there anymore. They're worried about
they're trying to find Area 51.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you remember that one on Facebook. Let's all go to Area 51. They can't stop us all. Do you not remember that one?
I do, and I don't think many people showed up.
No, in fact, more people went to Las Vegas because they turned into a concert. It was a big EDM concert, like the Alien concert or something like that.
All right, I do that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, and most people did that. Well, I'll do this. They
go out to the middle of nowhere in Nevada desert and possibly wander in the sunlight to death and die. I'm going to the EDM concert.
Yeah, no, the military will stop you before you get too close. And then they'll just shoot you on sight if you get really close.
Yeah, eventually, I think you're out of warnings. I think they put a fair amount of signs and
yeah, you got to pass a lot of signs.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a fair amount of signs. I'm pretty sure. And then at a certain point, you're going to get shot.
Yeah, there is. I think there is. There are a couple people did go up to the point of no return.
Yeah, there's a point where it says if you walk past here, you will be shot. A lot of the signs are you're being monitored, motion and camera sensors, blah blah blah, government site. But then eventually, there's a sign that says any further, you will be shot.
Yeah.
Okay, turn it around.
Which is a little wild. Your own government will just shoot you on sight to go in.
Well, me and Brian got to go on the Pearl Harbor Navy base because our friend was in the Navy down there. Yeah? That's one of the only bases, I guess, that you can actually go on. Because of the way Hawaii is, and I don't know, he tried to explain it, but it's one of the few Navy bases that you can actually bring a regular civilian like us onto the base. And it was a whole different feel on there, man. I thought it was cool as hell. I'm a military history guy, but it's man, it was couldn't imagine trying to walk up to like a Pearl Harbor in the middle of the desert because like it's just all sand. You're gonna get picked off right away if you try to sneak on.
It's gonna be it's too hard to hide for you, especially they got thermal. You're done. You're toast. Can't even hide within like trees and stuff. But the Navy base thing, is that just Hawaii or just?
He said there's like certain bases that are like level of security that you're able to bring people on. He said part of it is like Hawaii, it's a controlled entry port already. When you're flying in or taking a boat, you're declaring yourself on those forms, saying like I'm here, blah blah blah. And so as long as you have someone with an active military pass, you can get on the base with them.
Okay.
And I think it's purely just because Hawaii is so unique in its situation, you know, like it's restricted access already.
Yeah.
But I've been on Dayton Air Force Base as well. But it was a very like,
it was for the museum though, right?
No, I actually got to, my buddy is in or my coworker was in the National Guard, and he had to stop in at the base because he works on some of their electrical, and he was there to pick up a spool of some kind of electrical cord. And I mean, it was an in and out, so he told him exactly what he was doing and who he was seeing, and they gave him clearance and gave me clearance to go in a car. I wasn't allowed to go.
But they probably scanned your ID or something, right?
I don't know. They just said like don't leave his side, and we were in and out in a half hour. So I mean, I got out of the car.
Like
I got
Pearl
to go
Harbor,
inside.
we were able to kind of walk around a little bit because it's a different feel there. I feel like
completely different feel.
But Murphy did say don't make a scene because you could end up getting shot.
Yeah, shot or in jail.
Yeah. So we just walked around killing time a little bit and didn't go into any restricted areas. I'd be terrified of that because I remember, the Air Force Museum is there. And for a while, they had all the Air Force One planes in a separate bunker on base because they didn't have enough space yet at the museum for them all, like all of the former Air Force One jets. And it was pretty cool. But we had to take a bus on. We all had to show ID. They had to scan them. We had to go through a military checkpoint. And they're like, no cameras, no nothing. Like, a lot different than going through the Pearl Harbor, like, entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got any I guess that's your wrapping thoughts there, Brian, on the Kate Middleton thing?
I think your mama really was starting to look into the conspiracy theories. That was supposed to be a joke. And the lizard people might have some hand or foot or whatever you call lizard
tail, probably
yeah,
tail,
probably a tail.
Yeah.
In this cancer.
Lizard theory. People are real, man. I believe in that.
Well, there was that. Continuing to talk about conspiracy. there was a medical. I don't know. It was a medical paper, something that a few like major, like CNN, NBC, like the AP floated out with. There's a disease in which, like, the movie Smile, where like you smile really wide and you just kind of get that kind of uncanny valley look to your face. There was like a condition going around that had people like that, and they kind of looked a little lizard-like. Like, have you ever seen the movie it's The Amazing Spider-Man 2, or actually be The Amazing Spider-Man with the lizard?
I mean, all I think about when you do that you're talking about that face thing is I think of like the Joker, specifically not was it Jack
Heath Ledger?
No, the Jack Nicholas, whichever one's not the golfer, Nicholson. I always get those mixed up.
Well, Jack,
who's the actor?
Nicholson.
Yeah,
Jack
Nicholson was a Joker in one of the old Batmans, and like his face just looks so big with his smile, and although Heath Ledger did play an amazing Joker. Oh my God, did he play an amazing Joker?
Really embodied it.
Did have a good
He
one.
embodied it, but he didn't have the giant Joker smile. Like he had like the darker. I mean, God, but what a great Joker. But yeah, that's what I picture when you think of that. I'm picturing that Joker with the giant smile.
Yeah. But yeah, so to end on your mama so fat, she couldn't move out of the chair, so she started looking at conspiracies. I thought that's where you'd go with that.
Womp, womp, womp.
Well, before we move
I
on to
think
our
that's
last,
a hot take by David.
that is, it might be a little hot.
Little hot take.
Before we move on to our last topic, Brian, do we have any questions or comments?
Yeah, let's
Questions,
look at the
concerns?
comments.
Let's see what we got going on.
Ricky said the scars made his smile perfect, or the scars made his smile was perfect.
Permanent?
Oh, Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
No.
Good.
Light comment night here for us. That's fine. So, Doug, what do you know about the Boeing conspiracy?
I know Boeing is going through some troubles right now with their doors and their quality. Also, after then, also having a rough history with the Boeing 737 MAX.
Yeah.
Which my friend who was a pilot told me he'd never fly on a Boeing MAX. And he's a pilot. He goes, yeah, they retrained us. I still would never fly in that plane if I had a choice. And so I know about Boeing's problems. I don't necessarily know what you're about to talk about.
Oh, all right. So let me tell you a little background on this, Doug. So Boeing, a great American company and one of our largest manufacturers of military
Some would
weaponry.
say too big to fail.
Some would say that, and I think most would agree.
Yeah.
So Boeing's had, as you alluded to, Boeing has some problems with quality on their commercial airliners. There was a guy by John Barrett who was a quality engineer for Boeing, and he saw the way things are going at Boeing, how they, instead of using grease, they'd use Dawn dish soap instead of, riveting down the doors or bolting down the doors to a certain spec. They just did it haphazardly to get these things out the door for a cheaper price to save costs.
So because they're in competition with Airbus, essentially it's Boeing and Airbus for airplane manufacturing.
Yeah, and a little bit of Lockheed Martin, but that's definitely not what
but the main passenger.
Yeah,
those two.
And then so John Barrett, he was a quality engineer and whistleblower. So he got fed up with the whole thing and decided, I'm going to the FFA, I'm going to the federal government, and let them know, hey, we got some problems here. So John, I think if I remember, he had 25 to 30 years with Boeing, spent the majority of his life working for essentially the same company, and got so fed up, left, and basically just started being the eyewitness for all the federal lawsuits going against Boeing. So John is a spirited man. If you ever seen him, I encourage you, watch some of his interviews here after the show and look at just how spirited he was about taking this company down. This was essentially his life mission. He had nothing on his mind outside of, making love to his wife, having his sister around, and taking down Boeing because of their lack of quality concerns. So with the advent of some of the doors on the plane and just some weird things going on Boeing planes, it starts to become a greater and greater news story. And John was in a deposition here with the federal government that basically, through his lawyer, said went really well. And he was going to do a couple more of these. And I think that was going to, I believe, was going to close the book on what his chapter was within this whole whistleblower situation. A couple of days later after that deposition, John Barrett found dead in his, I believe, his hotel room, not his apartment, because I think he was going to go travel home, but didn't do that. So a couple weird things with this one. Told his sister, hey, I got some people coming after me. If I die, it wasn't a suicide. The old John McAfee situation with him. So this kind of brings up a lot of alarm bells that an American company with American taxpayer dollars that is too big to fail. And in fact, so big, they don't have to compete. All they're focused on is stock buybacks and juicing the stock price through essentially the taxpayer dollar. They're going to put us normies, regular people, just trying to get to Florida to go to Universal and see Harry Potter in harm's way, just so they can make a couple extra bucks.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I might be trying to fly Airbus for a while because at least in the experience last time I flew, I thought the Airbus planes were nicer.
Yeah.
I was all for Boeing, American, yay. But it's like, man, there's just been too much shady stuff going on.
Yeah. But so let's put the conspiracy theory aside for a second. we'll definitely get back to that one. When a company gets too large and has too many, or has in fact zero competition, and is propped up by our government, we should start asking questions, and we should start holding them a bit more accountable than what we're currently doing. They are, again, putting people in harm's way from the lack of quality. Their leadership is all based on how much can we save money, not how much can we invest and how much can we make our products better. Again, this company was a shining achievement of the American system and essentially the capitalist system. Hey, we can make something so good, so great, and so cheap.
They were the airplane manufacturer for a long time.
Yeah. And they use their leverage to get better tax breaks, better, just kind of less oversight for those, and for most of their factories over in Seattle, Washington. So to see a company of this kind of stature fall and continue to fall, but where I see, unfortunately, they're going to be in free fall because they're not going anywhere. They're not going to go bankrupt. They're going to continue to maintain this just level of, they don't care. They have, what incentive do they have to continue to compete? Yeah, their military stuff's probably top notch.
Well, that's pretty much, I think, what keeps them in business and like keeps them from probably the scrutiny they should have. They make a lot of military stuff. Now, the last military jet they made was probably a long time ago, because the plane everyone knows right now is the F-35. Well, that's made by Lockheed.
Yep.
Yeah, Boeing probably makes a small portion of the plane, but like they don't actually make the plane. They don't make the engines. That's like General Electric makes the engines for most planes. And Rolls-Royce, yes, Rolls-Royce and General Electric, they're the engine manufacturers. Maybe Boeing's time has come.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, I mean, there used to be a lot of airplane manufacturers back in the day. What was it, like McConnell Douglas?
You're right on that one.
Like other ones, there were many others that made airplanes, but they all got absorbed by like Lockheed and all these other mainly military companies. Boeing was the jet company. Well, maybe it's time someone brings some competition. I mean, Airbus was their competition, but most of the politicians want to back Boeing no matter what because it's an American company versus Airbus. Well, maybe it's time we find another company then. Boeing should maybe dissolve their airplane side of business, like their was it passenger jet side, public side, commercial side, focus on their military and maybe sell that to someone who's going to maybe do a better job making jets.
Yeah. Or even just have better quality, have more concern over
that's
what they
more
do.
Money, and that's more time. And again, they don't give a crap. What keeps them in business is their military contracts. And then that's what also protects them is their military contracts. So they don't really give a crap. So I think the best option is let's sell off the branch of the commercial side and let someone make planes for us normal people that aren't going to kill us all.
No, I absolutely cannot.
Like you said, I want to fly from Cleveland to Orlando, Florida without being killed. Is that too much?
I'd appreciate that. Or without a surprise door falling off.
Or a tire falling off.
Yeah, I would like the plane to land quickly, easily, and efficiently, so I can get on and do whatever I need to do. The only time it's real exciting to have some sort of plane accident happens when you don't want to be where you're going, like a work conference or something. Like, sorry, boss, tire fell off the plane.
Or like if I was in Hawaii, sorry, boss, I can't make it home. My flight's delayed. I might have to spend another couple days down here. You know
those Boeing. You don't want to take your chances. But yeah, and here's where I come with the conspiracy aspect too. Us taxpayers are paying for Boeing to essentially just kill people. Because there is no. I find it very hard to believe.
Definitely a hot take.
I find it very hard to believe that John Barrett killed himself. I don't believe it. He's not based on what his sister says, based on just some of the interviews I've watched, he's just not. You don't know what struggle someone's going through, and I'm 100% certain that trying to be the whistleblower of one of the major companies in the United States that has a lot of military pull is pretty stressful. And I'm sure he's gotten some unsavory phone calls, unsavory messages. He's been intimidated, absolutely. But this just seems too on the nose for it to be truly an accident, a suicide, an offing of yourself. This just seems, it screams to me that someone.
Now,
someone at
when was
Boeing-
it? When was this suicide?
It was like a month or two, maybe about a month ago.
So conveniently, right after a whole new set of Boeing stuff was coming out.
So
Pretty convenient.
So the news just kept going, and all of a sudden they lost their spearhead, their leader, the person that would take them to the promised land of shutting them down. Or
Well,
at
at
least,
this point, they are getting investigated, and they have shut down and slowed their production to try and figure it out. Like, they are at least getting looked into.
And they did fire their CEO, Dennis Muhlenberg. So he did get fired. So we are seeing progress, but it shouldn't take the offing of somebody to get that progress made. We should be better as a country, or better as a company, and do right by the consumer. Ultimately, if the consumer isn't necessarily us. We got a comment there.
Yeah, Ricky said, I will not fly any 737 MAX, picking my flights now by the type of plane, no matter the convenience.
Ricky
Shrug.
gets it. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now.
Well, you know what airlines...
I specifically didn't want to fly a Max, and now I might specifically look for them Airbuses.
Now, you know what companies don't use Boeing planes? I think Spirit, Frontier, and I think Southwest.
Private planes, too.
Also private. I don't know about you, Doug, but I can't afford a private.
Yeah, but
plane.
if we got a group together for a trip, then we could all afford a private jet. Probably.
If you just give me $1,000 and everyone puts in $1,000, we can ride our G6.
I don't even
over
know
to
if it would be
Orlando.
that much, depending on the amount of people we got.
Well, it depends
Something to
on
look into.
it.
It might be easier just to get a whole group together and start flying private.
Well, they do have the Uber for private planes called Wheels Up. Have you not seen a commercial for the? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's an app. They can just go on your app. You can charter.
I tried to schedule an Uber for the first time, and it doesn't let you schedule pickups from airports, so that sucks.
Really?
It will let you schedule a pickup from your house to go to the airport, but if you want to pick up at the airport, you can't schedule a time at airports.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm probably I would have to imagine it's because too many things get delayed.
Yeah, but like I would rent a rental car from there because it's always cheaper to rent at the airport than like those standalones. So I rented a car, needed to drop it off and get an Uber back because I didn't like have someone that could pick me up.
Oh yeah.
Wanted to just schedule because like I know I'm going to drop my car off by this time. Couldn't schedule it. I was like, well, that fucking sucks.
That does suck. Well, if you've ever tried to get an Uber at the airport, God, it's expensive. Yeah. Especially like off hours. Oh, it's bad. You're looking at me like you got another comment.
Yeah, Ricky has a little bit of a correction.
Okay.
He said, I'll still fly Boeing, just not the 737 MAX, anything made after
sure not the MAX, though, my friend.
Yeah.
Nothing after 2014.
I still think the 747 is still one of the best airplanes ever made.
And flying in nothing, he said nothing after 2014? Is that what you said?
Anything made after 2014.
Okay, but made after 2014 means it's already 10 years old or more. Like, that's also scary.
You'd be shocked how old some of these airplanes actually
are.
I
know, but like that's still a little scary.
Yeah, if your airplane doesn't have built-in like USB chargers or like those videos
old.
In the back of the seat, those are probably 30, 40 years old.
Yeah. Well, the jump planes like from like Chicago to Cleveland, those are like those don't have anything.
Super old.
Those are super old because they're just doing these short little trips. There's no amenities in it. You're lucky if it even has a working bathroom.
Yeah, or Wi-Fi even.
They don't have Wi-Fi's for those 30-minute trips. No.
Well, the other weird thing is Air Force One, the president's plane,
will no longer be able to refuel in the air, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know.
That's a fun fact.
I did not know
the
that.
new Boeing contract.
Oh, it is.
For the Air Force One's negotiated by Trump, fixed contract, which means they fuck up and want to raise the prices. They can't. This fixed price.
They're losing money on that one, too.
But it's best move by a president, though, because it'd probably be triple the price by now because they would want to keep adding shit on.
That's true. But also it is a vehicle only like 20 people at any given time you ever get to use. It's not.
No, there's a lot of people. They can fit a lot of people on there.
Well, you and I aren't going to be able to ride on Air Force One.
It's news and then the entourage.
Yeah, that's just about it. So you could have an old plane. I don't really need that.
Ricky responded saying, "Old but reliable." Shrug.
Well, they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
They also used to have propellers, and I don't think those are too terribly reliable. So that's a whole.
I
that's
don't
a whole
know.
different
Propellers might be even a little more reliable.
thing.
Whoa.
I mean, think about how long we had propeller planes for, you know?
So we couldn't figure out the jet engine. It took a while to get to the jet engine.
It did. You know what? Propellers worked.
They did work.
They worked.
I wouldn't call them fast.
They
though.
survived 2 world wars, though.
It's because there's no.
What
jets in
jet
the world.
engine survived a world war? Tell me. None.
Probably
None.
not.
And none of them probably would survive a world war.
I think there's more wars won by jets than, or less wars started because of jets.
Wars may have been won recently with jets, but what world war was won by jets? None.
Is a war not started better than a World War One?
World War One was.
Other than
propeller.
World War One, WON.
Oh.
Not.
I see what you did there.
Not the Great War.
Yeah, the Great War, the war to end all wars before the next Great War.
Yeah. So what are we're gonna call World War III? Just fuck it. We're done.
Yeah, World War III is
Tired of this.
fuck.
Shit. I'm out of here. You got any wrapping thoughts here, Brian?
I'm probably gonna. I don't know. I'm gonna have to reconsider my position on the 737 Max. I was open to taking whatever, but after hearing you guys, I am reconsidering my position.
When you have a friend who's a pilot and he tells you he still would never fly on that plane if he had a choice, that resonated.
Yeah.
That resonated with me. I'm like, all right, dude, you were trained on this plane and you're telling me not to fly it. All right.
Yeah, I will say so. I'll be devil's advocate here on this. I don't think anyone's died yet. I think the only people who have died due to the Boeing quality issues are, unfortunately, John Barrett. The only casualty really. So I think even the door that flew off the plane. Luckily,
the tire that fell off the plane, not related to Boeing there. That was maintenance. But even that tire falling off just hit a car in a parking lot. It's amazing more people aren't hurt by these things.
Yeah. And we've heard about every single major plane crash. Even before 9/11, we've heard of all. And there's only been 10, 15, like real major ones. I remember I watched one. There was one recently that went over Nepal. And the guy was doing a Facebook Live on the plane, just hold the camera around, just having a good time. Then all of a sudden, the plane nosedives in.
My dad's a big fan of Air Disasters, a TV show on like some channel. Like literally, we'll talk about air disasters, but like there's quite a few of these. Like they're usually like older, like 70s, 80s, 90s, because it takes time to get all the footage and information and do the interviews, blah, blah, blah. Like they do have a few more recent ones, but there hasn't been as many because things get safer. But that's the thing. There were a lot of accidents in the United States or US flagged planes flying overseas that ended up causing a whole change to the safety things and how we view things today.
Yeah.
And this might cause a whole nother change. Maybe there's going to be more oversight of the plane manufacturing, not just the training and certification. Maybe we need more, because you have to get a plane certified. It needs to fly, get certified, blah, 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 designs. But maybe there actually needs to be a certification on the plane through each process.
Yeah,
each step of it.
I don't disagree at all. If our tax dollars are ultimately, if Boeing is propped up by mostly our tax dollars, then yeah.
And all the airlines get tax dollars too whenever anything goes wrong. We're paying a ton of money for flights that are ending up getting canceled for random reasons. The least they could do is at least have a plane that won't kill us.
No, I don't
feel it's a fair social contract. I give you money for a flight. You don't kill me.
You don't kill me. No, or cause too many problems. In which we're just always like when all the flights got delayed because Southwest didn't update their computer systems.
Oh yeah, the Southwest one.
We gave you a bailout during COVID and
you weren't flying during COVID either. You couldn't have spent that time upgrading your system.
Exactly. There wasn't. This is just all a cronyism at its finest. So we can't seem to hold these people accountable when they do wrong by our tax dollars. Like, well, sorry, Charlie. Well, you took my money, but here you go. We'll give you another shot. How many more times until we just start protesting outside of pretty much everywhere because Jesus, this is getting ridiculous.
I got a question.
All
What?
right.
So I did fly Southwest during COVID. What is this that you're talking about?
You didn't know, like, so remember,
This is like 2021. I think it was
yeah,
summer of
like it was
2021.
like still COVID-ish, but we were starting to kind of come out of it.
Ish.
All like Southwest flights just got shut down across the whole East Coast or
Oh,
most of the
everywhere.
country.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
country, because like something happened where planes didn't get diverted to the right place because of computer system. They didn't have enough crews, but then the crews they had were timed out. And so then they couldn't find a new crew to man the planes. And they ended up like it just caused a giant cascade.
Yeah.
Because if like one flight is late, it affects all the flights out of that area because they
yeah,
turn
they have
these
to be
planes
so
around.
far from each other and stuff.
Yeah, so it was just like a pure utter failure of this airline because they just didn't have the manpower, the scheduling, the flights, the maintenance. Like their system just literally crumbled under like one minor failure, and
It was a house of cards.
yeah,
that it
something
just-
went wrong that just crumbled.
It just took like the computer system to go wrong, and just so much of this was based on algorithms. Just shut her all down.
I haven't flown Southwest in a long time. Usually I fly like Delta or United. Used to fly Continental all the time before they got absorbed.
Yeah, boy, that's a plane I haven't heard of in a while.
Right?
Yeah.
Continental. That was a great airline. Flew them all the time.
So anyway, if we made you laugh, if we made you cry, if we made you rethink a little bit more, go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Throw yourself in the comments here next time. We're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, well, probably not Instagram, and Twitter.
We have a lot of
X.
people on X right now.
We have a lot of people on X.
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
they
wow.
are
Interesting.
hot taking it.
X is taking off. Anyway, find us here, YouTube, X, Twitch, and maybe sometime we get that Rumble going. We might be able to do that as well. But anyway, this was a great show. Doug, appreciate you being on the second chair here as
Happy to be
just
here.
basically surprise us on you.
It was a surprise.
Brian, we appreciate you as always being the magic behind the keyboard here. And hopefully Gurgat doesn't hit a tornado when he's going out chasing. We might see him next week. Who knows? If not, I'll still be here 7:00 every Tuesday. Good people of the internet. We'll catch you next week.
Don't forget Sunday 9 a.m. Rethink Action.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't forget that.
Don't forget that one.
Yep. Bless up, boys, Ricky, and all right.
All right.